Hello and welcome to Indo GA. We'll be looking back on where there's a hectic hurling weekend, and we're delighted to be joined. We have John Mullane in the background, but we also have the London hurling manager, Neil Rogers, a fellow Offaly and Borough man. He's looking fresh this morning. He's had a light enough weekend celebrating the Christy Ring Cup success. Neil, how are you getting on?
Brilliant, Mick. Yeah, all good. Thanks very much.
What a weekend for you. My God. I know that there was a great picture going around yesterday of the Christy Ring Cup up in the cockpit heading back from Heathrow last night. Jeez, it was some win against Derry on Saturday, and I'm sure you enjoyed yourselves in Dublin over the weekend as well. And I'm sure there's a few good stories that you might let us in on.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Now, look, the lads were top class, I suppose, in terms of the game. But yeah, the celebrations went totally to plan as well. So yeah, we had a great few days. Actually, you won't believe the stroke of luck we got. We were in the airport Sunday. 40 was in a queue ready to board a flight. Our flight was at 2:30 on Sunday, and the guy was there giving us our boarding cards, and he disappeared for about 5 minutes. He come back and he said, "Lads, I've bad news. We've oversold the flight. You can't go back. You've got to stay tonight." And we were thinking, lovely, bank holiday Sunday in Dublin. Thanks very much. No problem. We'll fly tomorrow. Put us all up in the hotel, booked us on flights for yesterday. So yeah, it was brilliant. It was great.
Stroke of luck. That's like winning the lottery.
Oh, it was unbelievable. I'd never seen more celebrations there when I broke the news to the lads than there was in Crow Park on Saturday. But yeah, no, it was brilliant just the way it worked out. It was unreal.
I believe, was it Sunday night, were you VIP guests in a famous nightclub in around the city as well, I believe?
We were in there anyway, yeah. I don't know about VIP now, but we were in there, and there was a couple of big GA men in there, all right. But yeah, it was brilliant, yeah. It was brilliant.
What a win. Mull, you were in London over the weekend, actually, Mull, and I'm sure you were keeping in tune with what the lads were doing. Massive win for them. Some achievement for London to be playing McDonagh hurling for the first time, Mull.
Fantastic. Yeah, I took advantage of kind of more or less a weekend off. So yeah, I flew over to London Saturday morning, and yeah, into central London, 10 o'clock, staying around Leicester Square, and a good Irish bar. I don't know if you ever come across it, Neil, down around Chinatown. O'Neill's Bar, just off Leicester Square there. Great bar for GA and sports. So watch the hurling there and watch Champions League final there Saturday night. So I'm not promoting it. I don't know who owns the bar, but if anyone's going over in around Leicester Square and wants to pick up a match, O'Neill's Bar just off Chinatown there, great bar. But yeah, massive congratulations, Neil. Was keeping an eye on it, keeping updated on it, and then obviously seen the highlights. But I suppose the manner in which he won the match, and supposed to come back from, you know when Derry picked up momentum, and it was looking highly likely that Derry want to push on, and for you then to kick on, and in that kind of the home stretch, and to get over the line, it was an incredible win. And I suppose, look, considering it's gas, considering that you lost the National League final, and Derry were hot favourites, and look, I suppose we've got to sympathise with Derry as well. That's 3 finals in a row they've lost, and what's their fourth in 5 years, but an incredible achievement for you, Neil. And I just want to ask you the question, like, 2026, like, you're up in Joe McDonagh now, so what's the objective, or what's the approach going to be for London going forward into 2026? Obviously you'll have the league, but most certainly bigger fish to fry now come to Joe McDonagh.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's hard to even start planning for 2026. I suppose one of the biggest issues in London is that we don't know who we're going to have. Some of these boys could be moving home. I've no doubt if we kept them all together and added 1 or 2, that we'd like to think we'd be competitive. But we had a turnover. We had 18 new guys on the squad this year from last year. Jack Goulding actually was Christy Ring Player of the Year last year, and we lost him to Australia. So to have such a huge turnover and to still be even competitive was good going. But yeah, to try and be competitive at the next level now it could be a huge challenge, to be honest. But look, if we can keep most of the lads there, we've fine group there at the moment. If we can keep them there, I'm sure we'll give it a shot on it.
I presume, Rod, you're trying to have conversations with lads even over a pint and say, hey, listen, if you're thinking about doing this, maybe you'll hold on till this time next year.
That old career move to Dublin, lads, we might give it put it off there for another year, and we'll give it one rattle. But yeah, they are difficult conversations to have, and look, spirits are high at the minute. There's no one really talking about that kind of stuff.
But on the flip side of that, Neil, like I can't get my head around all these lads that are going to Australia and the appeal of going to Australia and it's the other side of the world. And from what I can gather, I've heard some I've heard some good stories about Australia and I've heard some horrific stories about Australia. And from what I can gather, I don't think Australia is what it's all cut out to be. And what I can't understand, Neil, and even you, Verney, like the appeal of London. Like I'd have an emotional attachment to London because I suppose my father would lived over there for 25 years and I would have been over and back throughout the course in the 90s. And, you know, I can't get my head around how so many lads that play hurling or play Gaelic football, right, if they want to take a year out or 2 years out, right, London is on your doorstep. It's 45 minutes, 50 minutes over the plane. It's probably one of the best cities in the world if you want to go and have the laugh, have the crack. If you want to party, if you want to play sport, if you want to go and work, put the head down. So I think there's a variety there for everyone. And even if the girlfriend wanted to go with himself, and I think there's huge Irish connections over there. And I would be saying that I think, you know, more Irish lads that are probably 22, 23 years of age want to take a year out or want to take 2 years out and want to go a gap. I will be saying to them, lads, don't mind your Australia. Obviously, there's the appeal of Dubai. Don't mind your Australia or New York. London is one of the best cities in the world. And if you want to go over, work, play the GAA, and if you want to have there's great nightlife, there's everything to do over in London. And there's not one thing that if you wanted to, whatever you wanted to do, soccer, nightlife, go to a show, shopping, it has everything. For me, I think it's, you know, you hearing this talk about New York won't have a patch on London. And probably maybe I'm a bit biased here. And I think there's an opening now here for London. And I will be saying there's the appeal has to be put out there that, you know what, come to London, we'll look after you, we'll set you up with a job, we'll set you up with a club and come and hold for us for London going forward for the next couple of years. And I've seen the standard. You're the Gabriels, are you, Neil?
Gabriel's Mull, yeah.
Yeah, so I would have been over in Kilburn Gales. So I got involved with Kilburn Gales. I've come over to the Champions League final in 2012 and they got wind of it and ended up doing a training session within 2012. And I got invited then over for their dinner dance. Then I think it was 2016, 2017. And even I watched I was up in the World Games up in Galway.
Oh, yeah.
And the Gabriels were playing Kilburn in the final. And I couldn't get over the standard. So I think there's an opening here. Obviously, you're going to lose a few players, but I couldn't get over the standard of some of these players. There's a lot of players from Clare, there's an awful lot of players in Tipperary, and what these players do when they do go back, they still have the affiliation with the club. Even when they do go back, like even the dinner dance, Kilburn Gales had the dinner dance, and there was actually past players flying over for the dinner dance. And I just think there's a massive opening for London, and I just think it has to be put out there and it has to be sold that, hey, we're open for business if anyone wants to come and have a good time, play a bit of GA and put their head down and work hard.
Hey Rod, I think you found a recruitment manager anyway.
Yeah, I couldn't have sold it any better myself. But yeah, no, you're 100% right. Like, it's London, literally, like we every opportunity is here. If you want to progress your career, if you want to, you know, the hurling is secondary over here, but like we it's very important for us that we have that avenue for lads coming over and, you know, to make friends. The girlfriends make friends with the other lads' girlfriends, and look, it's a big city here, and you can get swallowed up here if you don't have that community. But it's the GA community is here is huge and very passionate. And like you said, my phone has been hopping all week from past, you know, club players and lads I've played with London down through the years, and they're still as passionate and as you know, hungry towards it for and appetite for love for London is you know, it's huge. And like you said, look, if there was anyone there that wants to come, our phones are always on, and we like to pride ourselves on one, looking after the lads, you know, whether to play hurling or not is a bonus, but you know, we like to pride ourselves on saying that, you know, lads has come over here, young guy has come over, and we've done all our best to get him a room there and get him a decent job and get him up and running. But yeah, it's as you said, there's everything here, and the opportunities here are endless if you're willing to work hard.
We'll provide Neil's number in the link below, so your phone will be hopping plenty more over the next couple of days. Rod, just
Neil, can I just ask you one question before you go? What way do you manage your training sessions? Like, do you train Tuesday, Thursdays, and the commute, the training? Obviously, a lot of lads will probably use the tube or whatever. So, what could you kind of give us a breakdown of the way you work your training schedule?
So, look, to be honest, we kind of train like a club team. We do Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and that's it. Because we know if we push more on the lads, that the lads are just going to step away. We need to keep it as appealing and as enjoyable as possible. For the lads to commit. It's a huge commitment. We've got a new facility this year, which is it's probably an hour and a half to commute, but and trains don't go there that often. But it's an unbelievable. It's London Irish's ex-ground, the rugby team, and we put a set of floodlights down there. There's a GA pitch down there, and we also got set up with a new S&C company. They're also based out of there as well, so that's like our little home now. So any of the guys that's not training, they're in the gym, and then the lads Tuesday, Thursday. It's funny, we have to swap with the footballers. So one night on the Tuesday they use the big pitch and we use a rugby pitch next to them, and on the Thursday we swap. We get the GA pitch and they use the rugby pitch. So yeah, it's kind of funny that way, but as I said, we have to keep it as appealing and
One last thing. I was walking through Hyde Park there Saturday, and just went down and Hyde Park. Jesus, it's lovely, and I actually went over Winter Wonderland at Christmas time. Jesus, unbelievable. When you see how big how big Hyde Park is, I was walking through, and there was a couple of lads that were kind of setting up kind of a pitch with portable goals, and they were kind of watching. And I just said to ourselves, I said, imagine if you had hurling in Hyde Park, where if you had kind of a 7-a-side or a 10-a-side competition, and you had all the tourists coming in, walking in, and watching hurling in Hyde Park. I don't know if there would be an opening for something like that, or would you need to get some form of a license, or is that possible?
I'm not sure. I'm sure you probably could. It probably would be possible, yeah. But it's funny, like you said, there has been times when we've had to train in public parks. Just none of the pitches were available, and scarce the amount of people would come up to you and asking you what's this, lads, and they'd stay and they'd be watching, and the crack would be good. But yeah, it is. That's the biggest challenge over here, is probably getting facilities and pitches. But thankfully, we kind of put that to bed at the start of this year, and we got lucky with unfortunately for London Irish, they went into administration, and I suppose that was a bit of luck on our end that we could take advantage of that. But yeah, it is gas when the people see you, and even to see the hurls on the tube when you're going training, and everybody be like, first to be a bit wary, to think it's a weapon, and then they'd eventually get around to asking you, and
Niall, keep that thought, keep that idea, hurling in Hyde Park, so it could be something we could look into in the future.
I tell you, it was put to me by a very clever man around 6 months ago as well. So there is definitely people thinking of it.
Rog, a quick one for you. Anthony Nash's involvement obviously is huge, and it's a massive Offaly involvement with yourself and Owen Red Kelly as coach as well. And Nash has obviously very well gotten the coaching circles from his time with the Cork 20s and even his time with UL and the Fitzgibbon Cup and that. But by all accounts, forget about his coaching prowess now. Did he make you a promise at the start of the year?
He certainly did, yeah. Whether it'll be fulfilled now or not now is another thing. But yeah, he promised the guys a team holiday if jokingly, if we won the Christy Ring. So we'll have to see if he's a man of his word now.
It's no joke now anyway, because it's come to fruition now. Rod, the other one, I was chatting to you before the league final, and it's gas. Mull mentioned about the league final. It's actually crazy to think that you were beaten in the 2B league final by Mayo, who were beaten in the Rackard final last Saturday, and ye won the Ring, obviously a division up, which is mad. But you were telling me about some interesting journeys with certain airlines and stuff like that, and restrictions and stuff like that with equipment. You might just regale us with that one.
Yeah, it's gas. Like now, thankfully this year we've had Aer Lingus all the time, and when Aer Lingus are just so good to deal with. But obviously some of the other airlines wouldn't understand the hurling as such. So like you'd be going through the airport there on the Sunday night after the game, and obviously we only have the gear bags and the helmets in the gear bags, and they'd make you put the bag down into the hold, and obviously it wouldn't fit. The bag would be full of stuff, and literally have to take off the helmets out of the bag, put them on your head, queue up with the helmet on your head, go through onto the plane, and put the helmet up in the hold. And that's happened like at least 3 or 4 times. Like, it's mental. Like, but
I don't know how you weren't papped. I don't know how someone didn't pap you and get a picture of that at some stage.
Stop. And like, obviously, this has happened on a Sunday night on the way back, and look, the lads tend to have an old beer in the airport as well, so like, could easily get out of control.
Yeah, Rod, the last one, and I was chatting to you about it off air, and everyone from home was saying it to me. Geez, imagine if Offaly had been relegated and Roger was managing against Offaly next year in the McDonagh Cup. It's probably something that came through your head. It would have been a crazy one. Hopefully it'll never happen. Hopefully the only time it will happen is in the All-Ireland Championship and not the McDonagh, with a bit of luck, but it would have been a mad one.
It would have been mental, yeah. It would have been mental. It didn't cross my mind, obviously, last week, and Offaly had that huge game, and we were obviously qualified at the time. But yeah, thankfully the Offaly boys pulled it out of the bag. But yeah, it'd be crazy to think, leaving Bird 12 years ago, that you come back to manage against Offaly. But thankfully the boys done the business anyway and stayed up.
Rod, thanks a million. You've been super with your time. Get your recovery in now. I'd say the hard training is all done. Get your recovery in now for a couple of days and be refreshed and go again.
Well done, Neil.
Coming in here, I may go.
So, man, thanks, Rod. Talk to you soon, pal. Good luck. Great to have Neil on board there, and great to see how well celebrated it was. And it's such a kind of a novel story, even a team that has to fly to play any of their away games, and now they're competing in the McDonagh Cup next year. Probably one of the stories of the weekend. Mull, it was a busy hurling weekend. Loads of, like, they were all Ireland finals basically. And we look at the under-20 final. Real comprehensive stuff from Tip here, wasn't it? Like, all their senior stars came to the party, and like, once they got going, they were never going to be stopped.
Well, for me, I think this is probably the best underage Tipperary team we've seen probably since 2010, and probably has all the hallmarks, similarities of that great team that they had back in 2010. And yeah, look, I suppose the way the game played out, you were thinking, Kilkenny being Kilkenny, they were probably being out-hurled, but yet they were still only probably 2 or 3 points down going into that second half. And you're thinking, right, Kilkenny are going to come with a purple patch, going to come with a surge and do what Kilkenny do and push on and, kind of win a game that they possibly shouldn't be winning. But, Tipperary, their talent, their array of talent just came to the fore, and it was frightening. At that level, the array of talent that they had up top. And you're thinking that full forward line of McCarthy, McCormick, Donohoe.
There's Mull, you can't buy forwards like that. Like, to have that type of attacking talent, that's what it's all about. Like.
Yeah, and look, and not alone that, I suppose. Then when you think of what they have in the outside, then young Martin, then centre forward. He put in a great performance as well, and I suppose even there was probably even passages of play that were reminiscent of what they were doing at senior level. When McCarthy broke through in the second half, and he scanned these options. He said, right, the point is on. And he said, oh, by the way, no, we're going to go for goal.
It was like a John McGrath goal at senior level in recent weeks.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, when you're kind of doing that at senior level, that's it's kind of having a knock-on effect where you're pushing on then, and you're kind of going back and you're doing it at under 20 level, where you're saying, and that's probably, again, it's probably off the training ground of with Mikey Bevins, where if the green flag is on, you go for the green flag. And even the way Brendan spoke in the immediate after the match, that he was so aligned with Liam Cal about the 20s and the seniors, both working with one another, all driving on for the one goal, and that's having success for Tipperary.
That's not easy to do, Mull, is it either now?
No, and he was kind of highlighting the good relationship that he had with Liam Cal, and sometimes that can be difficult. When your prominent team, your senior team, are going so well. But for him to speak so highly of Liam Cal, I thought it was very, very encouraging for Tipperary going forward as a whole, going forward for the future.
Just for obviously some serious talent coming through from a Tipperary point of view. And you know the funny thing is that a load of them have senior experience already, and they look like they're like ready. Even like Oisin O'Donoghue is going to make a mark, has already made a mark at senior level, and will make even more of a mark as the weeks go on. But from a Kilkenny point of view, John, it's another final that they've lost between minor, 20 and senior. So they've played 11 in this decade. They've won 1, lost 10. Which is, it's great to be there, but it is a little bit worrying from their point of view. And they're obviously beaten by 9 in the wind-up the other day as well. The same kind of class of player, and even that real exciting forward that you get really excited about, the Richie Power, the Richie Hogan, the TJ, even the Cha, doesn't seem to be coming through to the same regularity as it was maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Possibly not off of this group, but I'm looking at their minor group, and they most certainly have definitely 1 or 2 up top in their minor forward division that look really, really good on the eye. But again, look, from a Kilkenny point of view, Derek Ling was at the match. He'll be interested in picking up maybe 1, 2, possibly 3 players, and the one player that really I think will naturally just will follow into that Tipperary senior setup. I think is the cornerback Bulger, is it Evan?
Yeah,
Ivan Bulger. Very, very impressed by him there. You even think of he got man of the match in the Leinster under-20 final, and he had a difficult assignment the other day of marking Darren McCarthy, and done a very, very good job on Darren McCarthy. And I wouldn't be at all a bit shocked if Derek Ling will call him in, and I wouldn't be at all a bit shocked if before the year is out, if Kilkenny go deep into the All Ireland series, that if they're struggling back in the back line, that you might see him falling in a corner back. He's kind of that Mikey Butler kind of player. He's on a touch tight, very fast, can travel with the ball. Very impressed by him. The big lad Murphy up top and the full forward, I think that they could possibly make something out of him as well. Brennan, wing forward as well. I thought in patches he was decent enough. So yeah, I think look from their end of it, if they can pick up 3 or 4 players, every year of these under-20 or of these under minor setups, I think, they'll be pleased with that,
Yeah, just briefly focusing on the other 2 finals in Croke Park on Saturday. Roscommon were played like a house on fire early on. Then Mayo got on top. And then they hit a sequence to finish off the game and win the Nicky Rackard. A huge win for them. And obviously New York beating Cavan. I thought this would be tight. New York were roaring half favourites, but Cavan had been going really well all year. In fairness, New York probably just had a bit more class. A lot of lads that have played, a lot of lads with county experience. Johnny Glynn obviously has an All-Ireland medal. Sean O'Leary Hayes, Conor Hammersley, and these boys have all been around county panels there as well. New York would probably be a much better fit, I'd say, in the Rackard, or potentially further up in time. But it's a mad old kind of weekend with both New York and London winning in Croke Park, winning All-Ireland finals in Croke Park.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. But look, a special mention for Cavan, and even Roscommon. Jesus, one of the best nights I ever had was up at the Four Roads dinner dance there up in Roscommon. So there's pockets of Roscommon that love their Ireland. Four Roads to be one of them, and even Roscommon were they were big underdogs going into that match against Mayo, and similarities there was with the London Derry game. It was looking like Mayo. They came with momentum. They got back level, and similar to the way London finished out the match down the home straight, Roscommon did the exact same thing, and for the lad to get the winner was it Mulroy, is it got the winner. So yeah, it's fantastic for Roscommon. But Cavan, I just give a special mention to Cavan. The journey they've come on Verney the last couple of years. I mean, we have to remind people of where Cavan were at possibly 5-6 years ago.
On the floor.
They were on the floor. They're probably the worst ranked team in Ireland. It's keeping an eye out for their results. Getting well beaten in every game. I think, their aggregate in some of the league campaigns was minus 100 and something. So, what they've done in such a short space of time is just incredible. And look, it was out of the 3 games, albeit Roscommon were underdogs, London were underdogs, and Cavan were underdogs. It was always going to be a massive, massive ask to try and overcome a New York team with the caliber of players that New York had. I mean, Johnny Glynn, Sean O'Leary Hayes, other players who played underage inter-county hurling. It was always going to be a big ask for Cavan. But to their credit, and what was great to see was that, they shipped a couple of goals, but they never dropped their heads. They kept going, they fought back, kept going to the final whistle, and they gave a great account of themselves in the final.
Yeah, they've made massive strides. I was actually up in Monaghan over the weekend, and I kind of made this thing with the little lady at home. Anytime we're anywhere, we go to the local GA club and throw around the ball and run around the pitch. But we were up in Monaghan Harps, and we were there Sunday morning then, and it was brilliant to see a heap of young hurlers, like 5, 6, 7, 8, all out for an hour Sunday morning. Game going on here, game going on here, game going on here, game going on over there as well. So it's brilliant to see. And while it's maybe in the shadows a small bit, there's loads of good work going on in these places, and they just need more and more support. And hopefully, in Willie Matter's role as the new director of hurling, all these places will get as much support as they need to not just to get hurling off the ground, but to keep it going and make it sustainable in these areas where, yourself, Mull, it can be sustainable to the point where somebody that has a big passion for hurling leaves the area and all of a sudden something dies out. So these places need to be made more sustainable. We want more clubs at the table. We want more counties at the county table as well, and being competitive. So that was just my weekend there as well. Mull, this weekend coming, 3 massive games, massive finals. We'll have a brief chat about Cork and Limerick first. And it's funny how the role and the shoe is on the other foot now. Cork were the All-Ireland favourites before they played Limerick the last day. They were the ones being chased after. They were the ones being hunted almost. And now it's flipped the other way, and they're back in that kind of underdog position again, playing Limerick again. And they're going back to the scene of the crime as well.
Yeah, and I suppose, look, it's what, it'll be 3 weeks on. I suppose it's still going to be fresh in their minds going up there Saturday. And I think what's key for Cork the weekend is that they really, really home in on that first 15 minutes, particularly the first quarter, probably first 15, 20 minutes, where they get off to a good start, and that they're there within the first quarter, and that they get the Cork, big Cork support behind them, because to be fair, Cork had a massive following there the last day, but never did you feel like that the Cork support were going to be given an opportunity of to try and raise their voices, or try raise a bit of volume around the place for their team. And I think that's key for Cork the weekend, that they get off to a good start, because if Limerick were to hit them for a couple of early scores, or they hit them for a goal, the fact that it was only 3 weeks ago, it's still fresh there. That I wouldn't say that mental scar of being well beaten, but I just think it's key that Cork get off to a good start the weekend.
Just on that, from a Limerick point of view, what you're saying is, Limerick, if they get a chance, they will bury them as well, because it's still an open wound, isn't it? And they could open it more and more and more, and they could get rid of a potential contender if they were to win by a decent margin on Sunday.
Well, that's definitely one thing that Cork, obviously Cork will be going up, and the Cork management will be banging the drum. We're going up to win a Munster title. But what's definitely key the weekend is that, whatever happens in this match over the course of the 73, 74 minutes, that Cork don't leave the Gaelic grounds after being well beaten again. And obviously, then I wouldn't imagine they'll be beaten in the manner in which they were beaten the last day. But even if it was just, 8, 9 points, 7 points, where you just feel that they were never in the match, I think they can ill afford for that to happen. I think, they've really got to throw it down to Limerick the weekend, really go at Limerick, and really challenge Limerick the weekend, because you said, if Limerick will be smelling blood, and I think, every time Limerick go to play Cork now, I still think it'll be those defeats of last year of being beaten. I mean, stop them down 5 in a row, being beaten down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. I still think that's still fresh in the Limerick mindset. And I think, John Kiley and Kenark, they will see this as a great opportunity in going out and trying to damage Cork even more the weekend and really sow a seed of doubt. Probably sow a seed of doubt where they might be able to recover from, Michael.
Well, I'll throw a couple of numbers at you, and to me, they're actually staggering numbers. John Kiley in finals with Limerick, 16-0. So 16 finals, 16 wins. Paul Kenark in finals between Clare and Limerick, minors, 21s and seniors. 24 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss. Aren't they just phenomenal numbers? What do you put, the inability for anybody to be able to beat Limerick in a final? What do you put that down to? Is it like this? Obviously, a special Limerick group, but those two guys have probably pulled together something really special in their own kind of records there as well, and with Kenark across 2 teams. What makes it so hard to beat Limerick in a final?
Yes, those are incredible stats. Ooh, wow.
The Undertaker's WrestleMania record, the old 21-0. Kylie's getting closer to that.
Yeah, Jesus. But hey, look, wouldn't it be great to be the first team to kind of to put that one on that stat or that record? But it's easier said than done. I mean, Limerick, there seems to be just this kind of more of a focus from Limerick when they get to a final, and they seem to raise their game, raise their levels even more. When there's a piece of silverware, at stake, and particularly when there's a piece of silverware where the silverware is named after one of their cult heroes in Mick Mackey, and the fact that the Mick Mackey Cup is going to be on offer, and the fact that it's being played at the Gaelic grounds makes the Cork task even greater for me. But yeah, I just think it's just this probably inner belief that when Limerick get to finals, they have the experience, they know what final days are all about, and they know what it takes to get over the line to try and climb the steps of, say it be be it in the Mackey stand or be it in Thurles or be it in Croke Park. And I suppose they have the air of excitement, and I suppose the thrill of knowing what comes in the immediate aftermath of winning finals, and I suppose the great memories that they'll have to have to date. And I suppose when you get into a habit of winning those finals, and the joy and the air of excitement that comes with it in the immediate aftermath, that drives you on. That drives you on even more, wanting to keep winning these titles. And they probably don't want to give up these titles or lose these finals too easily. And I just touched on it. That's what makes this Cork task even greater the weekend,
It's a huge task when you look at it. And even Limerick going for 7 in a row in Munster, trying to make sure they go through the front door, get the direct route to a semi-final, buy themselves more time to even switch off for a week and then build it back up again. It's a big task facing Cork at the weekend. It is a big task. Just more briefly on the Leinster final, it's funny, this is the position Galway would have taken their hand off to be in this position after being beaten in Nolan Park the first day out by 12. And it's funny that they're the ones that are going chasing now as well. They've got back on the horse, got a nice bit of momentum, got a good few of their big players back in form again. I think they're really dangerous going into this, I have to say.
Yeah, well, look, you contrast that with Cork. That defeat to Limerick, 3 weeks ago is still fresh in their minds. Now, you go back to that defeat in Nolan Park, that's all about 6-7 weeks ago. If Galway were to play Kilkenny probably 2 or 3 weeks, later after that Nolan Park defeat, you would be probably worried about Galway again. But the fact that they've had time to kind of build a bit of momentum, get a good couple of results behind them, and more importantly, I think kind of find a nice balance to their team, a nice balance that affords them a good opportunity to go and take on Kilkenny, and go and take on Kilkenny, probably better than what they showed in Nolan Park probably 6 weeks ago. And I think the one key thing for Galway the weekend is, and particularly Cork, is that they bring a level of fight that is needed to go and compete against Kilkenny and Limerick, because we both know that Galway and Cork, they have the hurlers. But if you don't bring the same level of fight, the same level of intensity, or the same level of drive that both Kilkenny and Limerick are going to bring, you're going to struggle. And I think that's the one key thing, and I think that's the one thing that Micheál Donoghue will be banging the drum this week. He'll be reminding his players that we never brought the fight, we never brought the drive, we let the jersey down the last day down in Nolan Park, and by God, we're going to bring that fight the weekend. And if they bring the thunder and the drive, they've got every chance.
It's the one non-negotiable when you play Kilkenny. You have to match them for that raw hunger, work rate, intensity. And if you do, you have a chance. Derek Fahey got a retrospective ban after that incident against Dublin as well. So it'll be interesting to see whether they appeal that or not. I think he's played every minute so far. So it would be a loss without him. Eamon Murphy, obviously, has loads of experience, will be coming back in. But it'll be interesting to see whether they appeal that and try to get him off.
Look. What's he appealing? I mean, he struck out. So, I mean, I was there in 2004 and people were saying, Jesus, why don't you appeal? And I said, well, what am I appealing for? I struck out, I hit Brian Murphy. I'll take my punishment. I mean, Darrell Farrell should just take his punishment and just move on. I mean, that for me, I think, well, what's he appealing? On what grounds is he going to get off? I can't see it, and I just think it's a distraction that probably Micheál Donoghue and the team probably don't need this week. And even I think even go back to in Waterford, but was it Austin Gleeson or
league semi-final against Wexford?
Yeah. Liam Cal just drew a line under and said, right, we're not appealing it, taking much. And I think that's what probably Galway have to do. Micheál Donoghue has to do the weekend is draw a line or not appealing it. So when we too much of a distraction. We don't need that.
You're one of the last men not to appeal a suspension, I'd say. Mull, something I meant to bring up weeks ago when the picture kind of was floated around on social media. This is a picture of you and a fella from, I don't know where he's from, but he has a kind of interesting tattoo on the side of his chest, which you might tell us a little bit about. How did this come about?
Oh, stop, yeah. We were up in... I was telling you, we were up at Mort Doyle and Spinners Quinlan's 50th there up in Kilkenny, and we were in one of the pubs up in Kilkenny, and a couple of lads from Tipperary, and one lad said, "Oh Jesus, will you come over? Meet a lad over here," and the lad mad to meet. And next thing, he pulls up his top. Can you get a picture with him? And I was like, Jesus. I was like, oh, mother, Jesus. And the fact that he was from Tipperary, I was saying. And even the lads were all laughing their heads off saying, but Jesus, he was a lovely.
What does it say, Mull?
Chips, cans, and John Mullane. So I don't think his future wife or his future girlfriend or whatever now will be too fond of him. So yeah.
Is that the first of its kind? Is that the first time you've ever seen your name in ink like that? That is a mad one now.
Yeah, there was one fella down at Waterford. I think he one fella down at Waterford done it before as well. But the fact he was from Tipperary, the lads couldn't get over it now. The lads with me that couldn't get over it. I said, like, what are the chances of that happening? Like you've been in the same bar up in Kilkenny, and this young lad from Tipperary, but he must have had a fair few bottles in him that night, Michael, when he was getting that done. I'll tell you.
I was just going to say it.
Yeah, hey, look, it's glad to know that we've someone out there that likes me on it. So
Good man, jeez, that's a gas one. This is not a competition now for people to be going out getting more John Mullane tattoos. One is enough, okay?
There'll be no fear of that. There'll be no fear of that.
Mull, great stuff. We'll look forward to the weekend. 3 brilliant games. And just for any of our listeners, we didn't go into great depth on the McDonagh Cup final, but we've a feature-length interview with the Kildare manager, Brian Dowling, where he talks about Kildare's rise and having not won a game in the competition before this year and now been, one victory away from first tier hurling. So that's in the feed there. You'll find it in the Indo GA feed. Mull, thanks a million. We'll talk soon.
You're welcome. On the ball, Verney.
Cheers, Mull.